gonna be my month. What up, my channel? Welcome back to another video. I'm Jessie E. This is Ravenclaw, and you're watching. Welcome to my October TBR. I have been so excited to film this video. This is actually the first time I've ever used this specific setup, and I have my lights in place. I've been really struggling with how I want to design my filming backdrop, and I finally got it just right. After I finally got my lights in place and everything settled and my candles lit and I had my beautiful lights turned on and I was finally ready. It took me about 45 minutes to get this all in place. The second that I hit record, those lights died. I bought those lights about a month ago on Amazon and they just died. I tried absolutely everything I can think of, but yeah, I guess they're just here for show now. So many different reasons TBRs are my favorite videos that I put out on this channel. And I just woke up in a terrible mood today. I was very, very depressed. It took me hours to get out of bed, but I got out of bed because I was like, I want to put up a TBR. I ordered all this spooky stuff from Amazon and I really wanted to show it off to y'all. I just want to say thank you to those of you who watch my channel for literally being the reason that I get out of bed when I don't want to. So without further ado, let's get into the TBR. During the month of October, I have a very ambitious TBR set because in the months of August and September, I read way less than I usually do. So this month, my goal is to read 15 books. I have 4 spooky Halloween themed books, 5 books for my Black Girl Magic vlog series, 4 fantasy books, 1 book for the NB book club, which is called Beyond the Binary that I host with Crescent Moon Reads, and 1 dystopian novel. Let's start with the Beyond the Binary book club pick for October, and that is Space Between by Nico Tortorella. Y'all might recognize Nico as the fantastic actor on the TV show Younger, which is one of my top 5 favorite TV shows. It's on Hulu. If you haven't watched it, you definitely need to check it out. Nico came out as gender fluid very recently, and this is their memoir, which I'm so excited to be reading for October. I run the Instagram for the book club. It is called NB Book Club, which you should definitely be following and checking it out because I not only have tons of book and comic book recommendations that feature non-binary centric protagonists, but I also include a lot of non-binary booktubers and book reviewers, news that centers non-binary identities, non-binary discussions. I put a lot of work into that Instagram, so please check it out. It is a great place for resources. I also have a non-binary Q&A up there. The next book I have on my TBR is After the Flood by Cassandra Montag. In After the Flood, planet Earth has been destroyed by violent, tumultuous floods that have overrun the entire planet, causing people to fend for themselves and turn to their most base instincts in order to survive. Our protagonist is Myra, a wildly talented, viciously intelligent, and absolutely ruthless mother who is looking for her ex-husband who has stolen their daughter from her. We follow Myra and her 6-year-old daughter, Pearl, as the two of them set out in search of Myra's daughter, aka Rose's older sister. I'm only 5 pages away from finishing this book, but I can say without a doubt that this is the best non-fantasy dystopian book I've ever read in my entire life. The synopsis that is written on the book really doesn't do the book justice. I would honestly describe it as a mix between Nama by Sarah Blake and The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. Now for our 4 fantasies. The first fantasy is a reread of one of my favorite books of all time from last year, and that is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I read this for Witchathon last year and absolutely fell in love with it, so this year I would like to go through and reread and annotate it. It tells the story of Zan, who is an ancient witch who lives in the woods. Zan begins to find orphan children in the forest, and she safely transports them to the next town over, all the while feeding them magic to keep them alive during the journey. But one year, she finds Luna and accidentally feeds Luna moonlight instead of starlight, causing her to become wildly and magicked and incredibly powerful. Then we have Wicked As You Wish, which has been on my TBR for months now. About 4 months ago, I started allowing y'all to pick a book for my TBR, and I've obviously been failing at that challenge, which is why I'm taking a break from it, because y'all picked this book like 2 months ago and I still haven't read it. This is gonna be my month. It comes out in March of 2020 and is published by Source Books Fire, and it is about Prince Alexei, who is the sole survivor of the royal family. Nobody knows about his identity except for his best friend Tala, and the two of them are hiding out in this boring town named Avalon. Now, when the legendary Firebird reintroduces himself into society, Prince Alexei, Tala, and a ragtag group of friends have to go on the journey of a lifetime. We have Reverie, which was also sent to me by Source Books Fire. I believe the release date got pushed up to December for this one. This is a YA fantasy about Kane Montgomery, who wakes up in the hospital after being dragged from the river by police. He also wakes up without his memories and knows that the world is not exactly what it seems. So 3 of his classmates take it upon themselves to help him recover his memories, but he doesn't know who to trust. And I know that this story involves visiting multiple worlds. I think that there's a Victorian world that gets visited. There's a lot of scandal and sorcery and a lot of queerness in this book, and I'm just so excited. Plus, look at the cover. Then we have Serpent and Dove, which I've already finished, and you're gonna get a rant review of tomorrow. This is a witch hunter, witch hate to love story. It is a YA fantasy that is set in historical France, and it involves a cutthroat witch named Lou, who is forced to marry a very rigid witch hunter named Reed Dickory against both of their wishes. Now for the books that I'm reading for my Black Girl Magic vlog series, I have 4 fantasy books and 1 science fiction. The sci-fi book is none other than War Girls by Tochi Onyebuchi. Huge thank you to Penguin Random House for sending me this arc. This comes out on October 15th, I believe. I know it comes out next week, but it tells the story of 2 sisters who are living in 2172 in post-war torn Nigeria. There's a lot of violence and political unrest, and these 2 girls have been through everything. Now, the older sister, Onyi, is enhanced with bionic limbs and artificial organs, and it's about these 2 sisters having to survive. I'm trying to finish this book within the next few days because I'm actually going to be meeting Tochi Onyebuchi at Penguin Teens Game Night, which takes place in St. Paul, Minnesota on October 14th at 6 p.m. That's going to be held at the Red Balloon Bookshop. Details on my Twitter and on my Instagram. Penguin Teen is sponsoring me to attend the event, and I'm also going to be doing lots of vlogging there. And if you live in the Twin Cities, I would absolutely love if you would come out and support the event and hang out with me. I really want more bookish friends who live near me. So if you are in the area, please show up. I would absolutely love to connect. I have The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Janata Petrus, which also was sent to me by Penguin. I'm freaking out because I know Janata. I didn't even realize that she wrote a book, but this book is set in Minneapolis, where I live, and Janata and I have performed together in dance circles off and on throughout the years, and I had no idea that she'd written a book, and it's just so wild that it got sent to me, and the way that I found out that she wrote a book was by me opening it. And the world is such a wild place. It's so small, and I'm so excited to be supporting Janata's book. She's such a wonderful, rad person. And this is a queer, magical, realistic book about 2 girls. A Trinidadian girl named Audrey, who is heartbroken and sent to Minneapolis when her mother catches her with her secret girlfriend. And in Minneapolis, Audrey meets none other than Mabel. And in this very lush and lyrical debut, the 2 of these girls fall for each other, the stars and the blackness in between them. Also releasing in October, we have Penguin Teens River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. This is one of the books that I am the most excited for on my TBR. It is a YA fantasy about 17-year-old Elva, who is born with abilities to control marrow and also has blood magic. Now, if Elva would like to ascend to the Ivory Throne, which she absolutely does, she has to battle her sister, her older sister, to the death. However, just before the battle takes place, Elva is attacked by a mysterious assassin, so somebody else is out to get her, and she meets up with a Fae instructor and also a magical prince in order to pretty much survive. I'm so excited to see all these different characters come together, and I haven't read a book with Fae representation in so long. I'm so excited about this, and just look at the cover. Then we have Daughters of Enri, which y'all saw me start in my last Black Girl Magic vlog. I'm about halfway through it, and I love this book more than anything. This is about 2 twin goddesses who are separated at birth. It's a Nigerian fantasy, and these 2 girls are recognizing, realizing their powers. Also a lot of political intrigue and just gorgeous descriptions in this book so far, and I cannot wait to finish it. You know I said last month that I was gonna read this book and I didn't, and I was like, yo, if I don't read this book in September, make me shut down my channel. Spoiler alert, I didn't read the book in September. I didn't read it in August like I said I was gonna. I didn't read it this summer like I said I was going to, and that book is The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. Or is it Obelisk Gate? I can never remember how to say this freaking word. This is the sequel to N.K. Jemison's 5th season, which I read and loved for Blackathon. It is a adult dystopian fantasy novel. In this world, there are Origines, which are people who have the ability to control the earth. However, Origini is banned, and those who are able to wield the Earth's elements are killed or experimented upon. Our main character has kept her magic a secret, but one night she comes home and finds that her husband has realized that their children are origins. Her husband unfortunately beat their son to death and escaped with their daughter. And so this season is about Esun trying to track down the husband and see if her daughter is still alive. And this is the sequel. That book was phenomenal. The 5th season is the book that I said reminds me so much of After the Flood. I'm so excited to see if this can outdo the 5th season, because that book was my heart, my soul, and my spirit. Now for the 4 spooky books that I'm going to be reading this month. The first one is called Stiff by Mary Roach. I wanted to read this book last year. It's a nonfiction book about the lives of human cadavers. I guess the afterlife. The book basically talks about how human cadavers have been used with their consent and without their consent in the name of furthering medical advancements. It talks a lot about autopsying and what happens to the body after it dies. I'm so excited about this book, and I've heard really, really fantastic things about it. I absolutely love to learn, and I haven't read as much nonfiction as I would like to this year, so I'm super, super excited to finally be reading Stiff. Then I'm going to be rereading Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand, which I read last year for Witchathon. I buddy read this with Crescent Moon Reads and Jess from Jess Nevertheless, and we all absolutely loved this story. So I'm going to be rereading and annotating it, and this is the story of 3 girls who live on this dreary island called Sawkill Rock, where young girls have been going missing for many, many decades, and nobody talks about what's happening to them. It is very queer, very body positive, very intersectionally feminist. There's a sexuality rep, there is Black girl representation, but it is also very spooky, very gory, and very fantastical. So if you were looking for something disturbing, definitely check this one out. I love YA thrillers, and I cannot wait to reread this again. Then I have The 5 Midnights, which was sent to me by Tor Teen. This is a teen thriller horror book about Lupe Davila, who arrives in Puerto Rico for once without the company of her father, who is an alcoholic, and she's staying with her uncle, who is an investigator, and her uncle is investigating a series of murders that have rocked their town. And Lupe decides to get herself involved in the investigation, kind of is doing some undercover work without her uncle knowing. Then we also have a character named Javier. He is also looking into the murders after 2 of his beloved childhood best friends wind up dead. The 2 of these characters meet one another and embark on a very dangerous journey, which may or may not involve a lurking monster. And last but not least, this is my absolute most highly anticipated horror novel of the entire year, and that is none other than Theme Music. This book is by T. Marie Vendelli, and I have wanted to read this ever since Crime by the Book posted about it in, I believe it was July. Crime by the Book is this amazing horror thriller blogger and bookstagrammer, and she posted about this book, and the synopsis just blew me away. It's about a 26-year-old woman named Dixie who, when she was just 1 year old, her mother, brothers, and father were all hacked to death in their house. So the story takes place, I don't know why I laughed at that. What is wrong with me? The story takes place 25 years after the murder. Her family house goes on sale 25 years later, and Dixie's like, you know what? I'm gonna move into that house.
Sounds about right.
Once Dixie moves into the house, she begins to question her sanity, but also is curious if there's something nefarious and demonic haunting the house. She begins to investigate the murder of her family by enlisting the help of the detective who investigated her family's murder 25 years ago, and it's just about what she finds. And this, honestly, is the most intriguing horror thriller book synopsis I've ever heard. I love a good haunted house. I'm so absolutely excited, and just look at that cover. Oh, the house gives me chills. I love the orange print. It's so Halloween-y. I cannot wait. And that is my October TBR. Wildly ambitious, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and my nose in a book. Hopefully I will be able to conquer it by November 1st. All right, y'all, that is gonna do it for this video. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I would absolutely love it if you became a part of my dapper family. Feel free to hit that notification bell so that you never miss any content from Bow Ties and Books. And if you would like more daily content, follow me on my Bookstagram, Bow Ties and Books, because I basically live and pay rent to Instagram at this point. Stay sharp, and I will see you in my next video.